Hey, glad you could join us. Tonight, we're stepping gently away from the noise of Earth. You don't need to pack a thing. Just bring your imagination, maybe a soft blanket, and a little curiosity. We're going to talk about something that's been on people's minds for thousands of years, a question whispered under starlit skies, asked by scientists, storytellers, and sleepy kids staring out of windows. Is there life out there, beyond Earth? If you like listening to quiet stories about space and stars, please tap the like button. It helps others find this peaceful place too. And if you want to come back for more calm journeys through the universe, please like and subscribe. Enjoy what I do here, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, let's get a little closer to the universe. We begin on Earth, because that's the only place we know for sure that life exists. Trees breathe, whales sing, ants build, and you somewhere between yawning and wondering are listening to a voice talk about stars. And even though Earth feels like home, it's just one tiny dot in a vast ocean of possibilities. That's what makes this story so exciting. Let's step away from the surface. Slowly, calmly. Imagine rising upward until the air gets thin and the blue fades to black. The world curves beneath you, clouds drifting lazily over continents. And then, a little farther out, the planet becomes a marble, green, white, and blue, spinning quietly in the void. From this distance, you can't see the cities. You can't hear the languages or the laughter. But everything that's ever lived, every cat, every forest, every conversation is tucked onto that little spinning sphere. Now zoom farther, past the moon, past the trails of satellites, past the edge where sunlight feels warm. There's Mars, with its dusty red deserts. Some think it once had rivers and lakes, and maybe even something living in them long, long ago. We've sent rovers there, machines that roll across the ground, taking pictures, looking for clues. So far, no sign of little green Martians, but we have found hints, patterns in rocks, traces of water, enough to keep the questions alive. Beyond Mars, there's a stretch of rocky leftovers, the asteroid belt, a jumble of frozen memories from the early days of the solar system. Not much chance for life there, but keep going. Jupiter appears like a giant guardian, striped and swirling with storms larger than Earth. One of its moons, Europa, hides an ocean beneath a shell of ice. Scientists think there could be more water there than on our entire planet. Deep below the surface, in the dark and the pressure, it's possible that simple creatures might swim near warm underwater vents. Not fish exactly, not anything we've met before, but maybe life, quietly moving through alien seas. Saturn floats nearby, wrapped in rings like a gift. Its moon, Enceladus, shoots icy water into space like a glittering fountain. That water might also come from an underground ocean. And wherever there's liquid water, even far from sunlight, life might just sneak in. Now we're heading outward, past Uranus, tilted and quiet, past Neptune, dark and distant, out where the sun is just another star in the sky, past Pluto, the little world with a heart-shaped patch on its surface, frozen and far. And even out here, even in this cold, quiet place, some astronomers think there could be planets, big, lonely ones drifting through space without a star. No sunrises, no sunsets, just the warmth of their own cores, and maybe, deep inside, enough heat to keep an ocean liquid. It's a strange thought, a world with no sky, just ice and water and maybe, just maybe, a few tiny, stubborn life forms that never knew the light. Let's pause here for a second. Take a breath. Imagine floating in this blackness, galaxies all around you, stars blinking like slow heartbeats, and in every direction more planets than we can count. That's the thing. For a long time, people only knew about the planets in our solar system, Mercury through Neptune, but now we know there are others, thousands of them. We call them exoplanets. Planets around other stars. They come in all kinds. Gas giants like Jupiter, rocky ones like Earth, even weird ones that rain glass sideways or glow red-hot with lava seas. And here's the part that makes you lean in a little closer. Some of those exoplanets are in what we call the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water to exist. Not all of them are Earth-like, of course. Some are huge, some are smaller, but some, well, some might be close enough. Around a star not far from us, a red dwarf called TRAPPIST. There are 7 rocky planets, and a few of them could have conditions where life might grow. Not life as we know it, but something. Bacteria, maybe, or something stranger. The kind of life that doesn't need sunlight or trees or oxygen. The kind that simply makes do with what it has. And that's what makes this all so wonderful. Life is stubborn. On Earth, it's found clinging to boiling vents at the bottom of the ocean, freezing in Antarctic ice, floating in clouds, living inside rocks. So if it can thrive in those places, why not on Europa, or Enceladus, or on some quiet exoplanet we haven't even seen yet? Let's get closer to one of those planets now. Picture it, a warm world orbiting a golden star. The sky glows orange at dusk. The oceans are green with strange salts. The trees, if they even are trees, are tall and thin like silver wires. Somewhere beneath a shallow sea, something stirs. It doesn't know we're watching. It doesn't know about Earth. But it moves, it grows, and it wants to keep going. It doesn't need to be intelligent. It doesn't need to build cities or write poems. Just by existing, it answers the question people have asked for centuries. Are we alone? Maybe not. Now, before we drift too far, it's worth asking, how do we even begin to search for life so far away? Scientists use telescopes to look for certain signals. Not the kind you might see in movies, not glowing messages or blinking lights, but signs in a planet's atmosphere, like oxygen, or methane, or a strange balance of gases that suggests something living might be shaping the air. It's like reading fingerprints on the sky. They also listen, massive radio dishes pointed at the stars, hoping to catch a whisper, a signal that might suggest a distant civilization. So far, silence. But that silence doesn't mean emptiness. It just means the story is still unfolding. Now imagine this. Somewhere, far away, another species is looking up at their sky. They're asking their own version of the same question. Is anyone out there? Could we be the ones they're searching for? It's humbling and comforting and a little thrilling. Not because we expect to shake hands with aliens anytime soon, but because we're part of something so enormous, so wide, and so full of possibilities that it refuses to be small. And maybe, just maybe, life is common, not rare. Maybe it's the universe's favorite trick, scattering seeds of consciousness across the stars, just waiting to see where they take root. So we keep searching, not just with machines and math, but with wonder, with stories, with questions. The universe, after all, is not in a hurry. It took billions of years to build galaxies. It can wait a little longer for us to figure things out. And in the meantime, we can keep looking up. We can imagine what might be growing under alien suns. We can think about strange oceans, glowing forests, quiet creatures, and brilliant minds staring out into their own skies. It's a quiet kind of hope, a calm belief that we are not alone, not just in terms of other life, but in our desire to know. So as we float here, somewhere between stars, let that thought settle in. The sky isn't empty. It's just waiting for its secrets to be found. Let's drift a little farther now, past the known worlds, past even the exoplanets we've discovered, out into the regions of space where our telescopes begin to lose sight. Out here, it's quieter than silence. And yet, in this silence, there's still so much happening. Stars are born in enormous clouds of gas and dust, places called nebulae, though we won't use that word too often. Let's just say they're like cosmic nurseries. Giant regions where gravity begins to tug on bits of matter, pulling them together until a new light blinks on in the darkness. Now picture one of those baby stars, just formed, just beginning to shine. Around it, leftover gas and rocks swirl in a glowing disk. Some of that dust clumps together. Some of it collides, melts, cools, and hardens into planets. Some planets are too close. They get scorched. Some are too far and freeze. But a lucky few, land right in that sweet, warm zone where water can stay liquid and chemistry can do its dance. And it's here, in this little Goldilocks zone, where the ingredients might just mix the right way, not quickly, not suddenly, but slowly, over millions of years. Gases form molecules. Molecules link together, something stirs in the soup, and eventually, maybe, life blinks into being. Not life with spaceships or science, not yet, just something small, soft, fragile, but living. Now, let's pause and imagine something gentle. A drop of water, sitting in the shade of a rocky overhang on a distant planet. The sunlight here is redder than on Earth. The sky has two moons. The wind carries a strange, low whistle. Inside that drop, tiny strands of material bump into each other. One of them starts making copies of itself. And that's it. That's where it begins. It's easy to forget how simple life can be at the start, but that's all it takes. Something that can copy itself, that can change a little each time, that can hold on and keep going. And if time is kind, that something becomes many things. Cells, colonies, creatures. This is where imagination meets science. Because we know how it happened on Earth. But on other worlds, the rules could be different. Life might not even need water. It might float in methane, or crawl through sulfur clouds, or live in crystal patterns beneath sheets of rock. It might not have eyes or mouths or anything we'd recognize, but it might still move, react, learn. It might still be alive. Now let's ease our way back towards something closer to home, not physically but conceptually, because the search for life isn't just out there among the stars. It's also happening here, in labs and observatories, in satellites and spectrometers. People are looking for biosignatures, little fingerprints of life left behind in light and air. When starlight passes through a planet's atmosphere, it gets changed ever so slightly. And by reading those changes, we can guess what the air is made of. If it holds oxygen or methane or certain combinations of chemicals that don't last long without something constantly replenishing them, well, that's interesting. It's not proof, but it's a whisper. And in space, whispers are worth listening to. Now, let's imagine another world. This one is older than Earth. It circles a yellow-white star a bit smaller than our own. The planet is a little larger than Earth, with shallow oceans and soft, hazy skies. The air smells faintly of minerals and salt. The trees are not really trees, more like flexible stalks with wide, webbed leaves that ripple in the wind. And nestled among them, life. Not talking, not thinking the way we do, but clearly alive, gliding over the water on broad, petal-like fins, sifting nutrients from the currents. Light-sensitive spots help them track the star's slow arc across the sky. They have no idea we exist. They have no need to. And that's part of the wonder. Because when people talk about aliens, they often imagine spacecraft and blinking lights and cities on the moon. But the truth may be quieter, more patient, less flashy. It may be coral reefs under foreign seas, fungal webs threading through deep alien forests, slow, mossy creatures basking in the warmth of a double sun, and yes, perhaps even civilizations. But we'll get to that. First, let's ask something simple. What is life, really? It eats, it grows, it adapts, it makes more of itself, and when it dies, it leaves something behind: molecules, structures, echoes in the soil, sometimes even fossils. So when we scan distant planets, we're looking for those echoes, patterns that shouldn't exist unless something alive made them. It's like walking into a room and smelling cookies. Even if you didn't see them bake, even if the tray is gone, the scent tells you someone was there. Now, let's drift again. There's a star in the constellation Lyra, faint but famous. Around it, a planet called Kepler 186. It's roughly Earth-sized, orbiting in the habitable zone. We don't know what it looks like. We've never seen its surface, but its presence says something important. It says Earth is not unique. There are others, and maybe, on one of them, something looks up at the sky and wonders the same thing we do. Let's go a little deeper now. What if, on one of these planets, life didn't just survive, it thrived? What if it developed tools, language, memory? What if it began to write, and build, and tell stories? Would it look like us? Probably not. It might be taller or shorter, feathered or scaled. It might see light we can't see, or think in patterns we can't understand. It might not use sound to communicate. It might sing with color, or dance with temperature. But even then, there might be something shared: a curiosity, a desire to understand. Maybe, one night, a young scientist on that world aims a telescope at the sky. They scan the stars, looking for planets. They're not alone, they're surrounded by others who've been asking questions for years. And finally, they find a planet with a strange atmosphere, a thin shell of oxygen, hints of methane, an unusual glow from the surface. They look closer, and they find Earth. And now the story flips. Because in that moment, we are the aliens. We are the strange life on a distant world, the ones they wonder about, the ones they imagine with their own myths and science and sleep talk. Maybe they send signals, maybe they listen, maybe they wait. And maybe one day, across the vast gap of light years, we hear each other. Not with a roar, not with a bang, but with a simple message. We are here, and we hear you. Let's return now to the quieter possibilities. Because even without messages, even without cities in the stars, the idea of alien life can still be peaceful. It can be gentle. It can remind us that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. The sky isn't just decoration. It's a living map, a record of time, a hint that this place, this whole universe is built to grow and change and surprise us. So even if we never find another species, the search is still worth it. Because it teaches us to listen, to pay attention, to look closely at what life can be, not just out there, but here too, in the moss between sidewalk cracks, in the strange fish at the bottom of the sea, in the ancient microbes buried in Antarctic ice. It reminds us that life is precious, and rare, and worth protecting. And if, someday, we do find something, even a tiny cell on a faraway moon, it won't make us less special. It will make everything more connected. Like finding a cousin you didn't know you had, living in a house just across the galaxy. So keep looking up, keep wondering, because this story isn't over, not even close. Let's take a quiet turn now. No rushing, just slow spirals through the stars. Because one of the strangest and most wonderful things about the universe is this: it never stops surprising us. Take Europa, for example, one of Jupiter's many moons. On the outside, it looks like a smooth, icy marble, cracked with long scars, painted in soft whites and gentle browns. But underneath that crust, we think there's an ocean. An entire ocean, hidden below the surface. Not puddles, not lakes, but more water than Earth has. And where there's water, well, we start to wonder. Now, imagine standing or maybe just hovering above Europa. The sky is dark because you're far from the sun. Jupiter fills half of it, glowing like a striped giant. You watch the light reflect off the icy ground, and somewhere below, miles beneath your feet, that ocean sloshes and moves, and maybe, just maybe, harbors something alive. Not big, not flashy, maybe something simple, something swimming. We don't know yet, but we want to. That's why we send probes. That's why we listen. That's why we keep turning our heads to the sky. Now shift your view again. Let's drift over to Saturn and one of its moons, Enceladus. Tiny, cold, and covered in white ice. But guess what? It shoots water into space. Giant plumes, like geysers. Salty, organic rich water spraying straight out from its south pole. If you were quiet and very patient, you could float nearby and feel the tiniest droplets drift past. And in those drops, there might be hints of life. Chemistry that's not random, clues written in molecules. It's like space is whispering, something's happening here. Now you might wonder, why are we always talking about moons and not just other planets? And that's a great question. Because the big planets like Jupiter and Saturn aren't great for life. They're all gas and storms and crushing pressure. But their moons, those are the hidden gems, the tucked away places. Cold, yes, but full of surprises. And then there's Titan. Titan is Saturn's largest moon. If you could land there with the right suit, you'd find rivers and lakes. Not made of water though, they're made of methane. Cold, dark liquid pooling in valleys under an orange sky. You'd see rain, hear the faint patter of drops on the surface, watch distant clouds roll over a frozen sea. And again we wonder, could something live there? Could there be life that doesn't need water, or warmth, or sunlight? Could there be creatures, tiny ones, maybe that drink liquid gas, that breathe different air, that move in ways we haven't imagined yet? We don't know, but every new discovery nudges us closer. Now, let's come back to Earth for a moment. Not the surface, but deep underground. Because some of the weirdest life we've ever found lives in places no one expected. Miles below the surface, inside solid rock, microbes eat sulfur and breathe metal. In the dark cracks near undersea volcanoes, whole ecosystems thrive without sunlight. And that's the clue. Life, it turns out, is more stubborn than we thought. It doesn't always need warmth, or oxygen, or light. It just needs a little chemistry and a place to call home. So when we look at distant planets or icy moons, or strange stars with wobbling light, we keep that in mind. Life finds a way. And now, let's stretch our minds even farther. Let's imagine that somewhere out there, not in our solar system, but far across the stars, life didn't just start. It evolved. It built. It reached. Maybe it has cities. Maybe it has music. Maybe it has questions. And maybe it's tried to talk to us. This is where things get even more mysterious. Because for decades, we've been listening, big dishes pointed at the sky, waiting for a signal, a pattern, a voice. We've heard static, we've heard stars, we've heard the noise of the universe humming along, but no clear message. Not yet. Still, we keep listening. Because imagine what it would feel like just for a moment to know we're not alone. Now, you might wonder, why haven't they contacted us? That question has a name. People have puzzled over it for years. It's the great mystery. If the universe is full of stars, and some of those stars have planets, and some of those planets have life, and some of that life is smart, where is everybody? And the answers, well, they're all guesses. Maybe civilizations don't last long. Maybe space is too big. Maybe we're in a quiet corner, or we just haven't waited long enough. Or maybe, and this one always gives me chills, maybe they've seen us. And they're waiting, not because they're unfriendly, but because they're cautious, like explorers watching from the trees, trying to decide if the campfire they see in the distance is safe to approach. Maybe we're the campfire. Maybe Earth, glowing blue in the dark, is the signal. And they're listening, just like we are. Now, let's float gently toward a quieter possibility. Imagine life that never builds technology. Life that never invents radios or sends ships to space. Not because it isn't smart, but because it doesn't need to. Maybe on some worlds, life is content, balanced. It lives in deep oceans, communicating through sound and pressure. It lives in the clouds of a giant planet, drifting like jellyfish. It lives in forests under alien suns, humming softly to the rhythm of the wind. And it never once thinks of stars as places to go. Would we still call that intelligent? Would we still call that progress? Maybe there are kinds of wisdom we haven't learned yet. Maybe the trees on some distant world know things we don't. Now, back to Earth again, just briefly. Because one of the most beautiful things about looking for life out there is that it teaches us to appreciate life here. The way flowers open in the morning, the way birds know when to migrate, the way coral reefs glow at night. All of it is miraculous. All of it is rare. And when we realize just how big the universe is, it makes the little things like a ladybug on your windowsill or the way moss creeps up a wall feel sacred. Because so far, this is the only place we know life exists. And that's worth protecting. Now, let's look forward. There are missions on the way. Robotic explorers heading toward the icy moons. Telescopes designed to stare at the faintest planets, to sniff their atmospheres, to listen for whispers in the dark. In the next few decades, we might find signs. Not cities, not radio stations, but chemistry. Molecules that shouldn't be there unless something alive made them. And when that happens, the world may change. Not in panic, not in fear, but in quiet awe. The kind of awe that makes you look up a little longer at night. That makes you hold your breath when the stars come out. That makes you think, somewhere, something is breathing too. And maybe, just maybe, it's looking back. Now, let's slip away from Earth again. We've done this a few times already, haven't we? Drifted off the surface, out past the clouds, past the satellites blinking like tiny insects in the sky, and into the black. And each time, it feels a little easier, like floating becomes more natural, like gravity's grip forgets to hold on quite so tight. So let's keep going. Out beyond our solar system, past Mars, past the asteroid belt, past even Neptune and Pluto, out where the sun begins to fade. If you turn around and squint, you'll see it shrinking. Still warm, still golden, but smaller now. More like a flashlight in the fog than the massive star it once seemed. And ahead, the stars. Not scattered like sprinkles, but spread like paint. A soft mist of light, stretching in every direction. That's the galaxy. We're in it, right now. Just one little bubble of it, but the rest of it is out there waiting. And scattered among those stars are planets. So many planets. For a long time, we didn't know if other planets even existed outside our solar system. It was all guesswork and hope. But now we've found thousands, tens of thousands. Big ones, small ones, hot ones, frozen ones. Some that swing so close to their stars, their surfaces are oceans of lava. Some so far away, they're wrapped in darkness forever. And some are just right. We call them habitable zone planets. Not because they have life, just because they could. They're at just the right distance from their stars. Not too hot, not too cold, like a porridge Goldilocks wouldn't complain about. And we look at them and think, maybe. Now imagine approaching one. It's quiet here, of course. Space always is. But the silence is rich, like velvet, not emptiness. You glide toward the planet, circling it slowly. Its atmosphere is hazy, painted in purples and deep blues. There are clouds swirling below, maybe oceans, maybe forests. And as you hover there, just outside the edge of its sky, a thought creeps in. What if someone is looking back? Not with telescopes or science or wonder, but just with eyes. Maybe they're lying in a field, watching the stars, and your spaceship invisible to them slides quietly past their moon. You wouldn't know they were there, and they wouldn't know you were here. But the distance between you, it just narrowed. That's what makes this whole thing so beautiful. The idea that life could bloom in so many places, that we're not the center of anything, just one glowing dot in a sea of glowing dots, all spinning and shifting and glowing, and maybe, just maybe, dreaming. Now, you might ask, how do we know where to look? After all, space is enormous. It's like trying to find one candle in a field the size of the Earth. And the truth is, we follow the light. When a planet passes in front of its star from our point of view, the light dips, just a little, like someone flipping a dimmer switch for a second. And we notice, and we measure, and we do it again. And if the pattern repeats, if that little blink of light comes at regular intervals, we know something's there. A planet, orbiting, dancing with its star. Now, some of those planets are giants, bigger than Jupiter. Not much chance for life there, but some are smaller, rocky, temperate, and when we find one of those, our hearts skip a beat, because that's where the stories might be hiding. Let's pause here. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the vastness around you, not as something cold or empty, but as something calm. Like standing alone in a quiet library at night, shelves stretching forever in every direction. Every star, a book. Every planet, a page. And maybe, somewhere, one of those pages holds a name, or a face, or a whisper from something that once looked at the sky, and wondered too. Now let's imagine what alien life might look like. Not the ones from movies, with big heads and glowing eyes, but real life. Honest, working, surviving life. Maybe it's small, microscopic, tucked inside a puddle of salty water beneath a planet's crust. Maybe it feeds on minerals. Maybe it glows in the dark. Maybe it doesn't even know it's alive in the way we think of it. Or maybe it's bigger. Picture something the size of a tree, but not made of wood, made of silvery fibers, branches that curl and sway like seaweed, catching particles from the air. Maybe it doesn't move much, just pulses slowly with life. Or maybe it flutters on wings made of skin thinner than paper, drifting between giant fungal towers on a violet plain. The truth is, we don't know what's possible. Life on Earth takes so many forms, from mushrooms to jellyfish to hummingbirds to whales. Who's to say what else life could do, given a different world, a different sky, a different kind of day? Let's glide again. No need to rush. Let's just drift, quiet, steady, soft as breath, into deeper space. Now that we've seen what might be hiding on planets close to home, it's time to stretch our senses a bit. Let's look farther, stranger. Let's follow the thread of life out into places we usually wouldn't dare imagine it. See that faint sparkle in the distance? The one tucked inside a cluster of stars, glowing a little too steadily? That's a white dwarf, the burnt-out core of a once sparkling star. It doesn't shine like it used to, but it still has gravity, still pulls a few loyal planets close. And now imagine one of those planets never left. It stayed tight in orbit, slowly cooling, maybe cracking under stress, maybe hiding something beneath its crust. A slumbering ocean, a last ember of warmth, a cradle for something simple, something patient, something that doesn't mind the dark. Not all life needs sunlight. On Earth, we've found entire ecosystems in the blackest parts of the ocean, places where no sunbeam has ever touched, and yet, creatures thrive. They cling to volcanic vents. They sip chemicals. They glow sometimes, like tiny stars themselves. So what if somewhere, out here, that's the default? Life that never saw a sunrise, that never knew blue skies or chirping birds, just the quiet warmth of rock and water, the soft fizz of chemistry in the dark. Would it ever look up? Would it wonder? Would it even know it was alive? Maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't care. But maybe, like us, it would eventually start asking questions. Let's take a turn now, not just in direction, but in scale. Because so far, we've talked about places that might have life. But what if life isn't just in the universe? What if it is the universe? Sounds strange, I know, but just hear me out. What if, instead of imagining aliens as little green folks on distant planets, we imagine them as structures, vast, slow-moving things made of plasma or light or magnetism? Maybe they stretch across stars. Maybe they are stars. Maybe a galaxy itself is the thinking part of some enormous mind. I mean, why not? We tend to picture intelligence in small packages, brains, eyes, hands, but maybe that's just Earth's version. Maybe elsewhere, intelligence is huge, so vast we wouldn't even recognize it. What if that flickering nebula we passed earlier is dreaming? What if it has thoughts spread out over centuries, slow and deep like tectonic plates shifting under a planet's crust? It wouldn't talk like us, wouldn't build cities, wouldn't fly ships. But maybe it would remember, maybe it would notice. Maybe when we passed by, it blinked. These are wild thoughts, I know, but isn't that the fun of this? Out here, there are no walls, no ceilings, just possibility. So let's play a little more. Let's visit a rogue planet. It's exactly what it sounds like. A planet without a star, no sun, just floating, alone, in the darkness, cold, hidden, forgotten by gravity. And yet, maybe it's not dead. Maybe it has warmth deep inside, a molten core, cracks in its crust, a sea beneath the ice. And maybe, just maybe, something swims in that sea. Something blind, slow, patient. Not because it's lonely, but because it's never known anything else. Its world has always been dark. It doesn't even know there's such a thing as stars. You hover above this world, peering down into the black. The surface glistens with frost. There's a whisper of atmosphere, thin, but there, and beneath, a sloshing sound. You can almost hear it. A pulse, a rhythm, not music, not words, just life, in its own strange way. Now, as we drift farther into the cosmic sea, you might notice how the stars start to stretch. Not literally, of course, but your eyes begin to pick up patterns, movements, shapes. That spiral over there, that's a galaxy like ours. And that fuzzy oval, another one, flying sideways through space. Every one of these galaxies holds billions of stars, and many of those stars have planets. And on many of those planets, well, you already know what I'm going to say. It's not just one maybe out here. It's billions. And each one whispers, look again. Let's visit one more of those maybes. It's a blue world, not like Earth, more sapphire than sky. It orbits a dim red star, small and quiet. The days are long here. The sun barely moves. The sky stays dusky for hours at a time. You walk along the surface slowly, because the gravity's different, lighter. It makes every step feel like a bounce. The ground is soft, spongy, covered in something like moss, only it smells like burnt sugar and clicks softly when you press on it. And in the distance, things move. Not animals exactly, more like drapes in a slow breeze. ribbons of shimmering tissue that float upright, swaying gently. They don't run, they don't fly, they just stand, listening. And maybe one of them hears you. It turns not with eyes, but with its whole body, and it pauses, not afraid, not curious, just aware. For a long moment, you look at each other, and in that moment, you don't feel alien, you feel welcome. Because life isn't just about shapes or sounds, it's about noticing, responding, existing in a way that means something to someone else. And this, whatever it is, has noticed you. Let's float back now. Leave the blue world behind. Let it continue on its journey around that quiet little star. We have so many more places to visit, so many more dreams to peek into. But before we go any farther, take a breath with me. Seriously, right now, in and out. You're here, listening, imagining, and that's beautiful. Because space isn't just a place, it's a feeling, a quiet thrill, a curiosity with no end. And you're part of that now. Part of the wondering, part of the reaching, part of the invisible thread that connects us not just to each other, but to everything out there. To the maybes, the could-bes, the what-ifs. So thank you for drifting with me tonight. We're not done yet, not even close, but it's nice, isn't it? To feel the quiet hum of stars just beyond your fingertips. To imagine the shapes of unseen lives. To walk on a world no one's ever seen except you, right now, in your mind. That's the magic. Not telescopes, not rockets. Just you and your imagination. And maybe, somewhere out there, something else is doing the same thing. Looking up, wondering, and hoping someone like you is out there too. And what if life doesn't even need the same chemistry as us? We always talk about water, because life here needs it. But maybe, somewhere out there, something uses liquid methane, or ammonia, or something we haven't discovered yet. Maybe its cells aren't made like ours. Maybe they stretch, or bend, or flex in ways that would make our microscopes blink in confusion. And maybe, to that life, we would seem impossible. Now picture yourself landing on a planet like that. You step out slowly, carefully into the air. It's heavy, but breathable. The sky is greenish. The wind smells like something metallic. You walk past bulbous plants, humming with low vibrations. You see creatures that flicker like candlelight, never staying still long enough to examine. You crouch beside a stream of liquid that isn't water but flows just as freely, catching bits of sunlight in the ripples. And you think, this is someone's home. It's strange, it's foreign, but it's alive. And suddenly, Earth feels less lonely. Because if this can exist, what else can? What wonders are waiting? Now let's drift a little farther, not just in space, but in time. Imagine the universe 1 billion years from now. Stars have shifted, some have died, some have been born. Planets have cooled or crashed or drifted away. Civilizations, maybe, have risen and fallen like tides. But somewhere, on some quiet world, a creature looks up at the stars and asks a question. Just one question. And with that question, everything begins again. That's the thread that connects all of this. Not rockets, not satellites, not signals or probes. It's the questions. Are we alone? What else is out there? Who else is out there? And those questions, simple, quiet, childlike, are what keep us listening, watching, hoping. Now let's return to the present, to us, right now. You and me, floating together in this moment, thinking about stars and oceans and unknown skies. You might be lying in bed, or staring out your window, or walking with your headphones on, somewhere between errands and sleep. But you're here, and so am I. And around us, the stars, billions of them, each one a chance, each one a maybe. And doesn't that feel peaceful? Because whatever we find out there, whether it's microbes or minds, flickers or songs, it doesn't change what we are. It deepens it. It reminds us that being alive is rare, that being aware is rarer still, that we're part of something enormous and strange and beautiful, and that maybe, just maybe, someone else out there is wondering the same things we are. And maybe they're hoping we're wondering too. You raise your hand, slowly, and it does the same. That's all. No invasion, no flashing lights, just recognition. Now, drift with me again, through more stars, past frozen comets, through debris fields and abandoned satellites and lonely moons that orbit in silence. And finally, let's pause near Earth again. From here, it's just a marble, swirling blues and greens, thin clouds, a heartbeat of life. And down there, you are sitting maybe in bed, or at your desk, or curled under a blanket imagining all this. Listening, drifting. And that means that right now, there's a piece of the universe dreaming about itself. You. And that might be the most alien thing of all. Because in a universe of storms and fire and gravity and endless motion, here you are quiet, still, wondering. And that wonder might be the closest thing to magic the cosmos has ever known. Now, take a deep breath and let yourself feel the weight of that thought. The universe is unimaginably vast, billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, many with planets orbiting them, but here, in your quiet moment, you are connected to all of it. Not just as an observer, but as a participant in the cosmic dance. Imagine the atoms in your body forged in the heart of stars that lived and died long before the Earth existed. You are literally made of stardust, carrying the legacy of ancient cosmic explosions. Each breath you take is filled with particles that have journeyed across light years, caught in the invisible tides of space and time. This connection, this shared origin, is the bridge between you and every other possible life form out there. Even if we never find them, or they never find us, the universe has already woven us together in its grand design. But what if we are not alone? What if that simple gesture, raising a hand and being met with the same, happens again, somewhere far away, under alien suns? Imagine for a moment the creatures who might respond, not humanoid beings with 2 arms and 2 legs, but something utterly different. Maybe beings made of light or swirling gas, or minds spread across entire planets. Life that thinks in colors or frequencies instead of words. Life that doesn't just exist but resonates with the universe's deepest harmonies. Picture meeting such beings. What stories would they tell? What wonders would they share? Would they laugh, or sing, or communicate through emotions like colors blooming in the air? The more you imagine, the more the universe opens up before you, not as a cold, empty void, but as a living, breathing mosaic of endless possibility. And here's something remarkable. Even as you sit quietly, somewhere out there, planets orbit their stars in rhythms shaped by gravity and chance. Some of those worlds might harbor oceans teeming with life. Others might hide ancient forests beneath purple skies, or cities of crystal that shimmer under twin suns. Maybe there are civilizations that have already mastered the art of peace, who travel the stars in ships powered by dreams. Or perhaps there are worlds where life is just beginning, small sparks of creation waiting to ignite. You can almost hear the whispers of those places in the night sky, stories waiting to be told, lives waiting to be known. And that's the magic of this moment, the infinite what if that fuels our curiosity and drives us to explore. So, as we drift here near our little blue planet, surrounded by the infinite dark, remember, your wonder is the spark that lights the cosmos. And every time you look up at the stars, you are not just gazing into space. You are reaching out, joining hands with all the unseen life waiting to be discovered. If you like listening to quiet stories about space and stars, please tap the like button. It helps others find this peaceful place too. And if you want to come back for more calm journeys through the universe, please like and subscribe. Enjoy what I do here, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, let's continue our journey beyond Earth once again. This time, let's travel outward, past the familiar, past the bounds of our solar system, and into the glowing arms of our galaxy, the Milky Way. Imagine soaring through clouds of gas and dust, the birthplace of new stars. The colors here are surreal, glowing pinks, blues, and purples that stretch across light years. You can almost taste the energy raw, wild, full of promise. As we glide past, you notice newborn stars shining with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Around them, swirling disks of matter gather, slowly shaping the future planets of distant systems. It's a cosmic nursery, alive with potential. And among these young worlds, some might be just right, not too hot, not too cold, where water flows and life might take root. Picture standing on one such planet, under a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations. The air might smell different, thick with gases we don't breathe. Strange plants might sway in unseen breezes. Perhaps creatures you can barely imagine live there, communicating in ways we have yet to understand. You don't know them yet, but they are part of the same universal story, the same endless search for life, for meaning, for connection. And as you imagine all this, you realize something beautiful. The universe is not just a place, it's a feeling, a story we're all part of. Now, drift a little farther, beyond the spiral arms of our galaxy, into the vastness between the stars. This space is mostly empty, but it hums with invisible forces. Magnetic fields twist and ripple. Dark matter flows like a silent river beneath everything. If you listen closely, you might hear the faint echoes of ancient events, the remnants of long-dead stars, the distant roar of galaxies colliding. Out here, life would be different. If it exists at all, it might be forms we can barely conceive of, entities that live in energy fields, or clouds of plasma, or consciousness spread across the cosmos. It's humbling to imagine, but it's also thrilling, because it means that life, in all its endless forms, might be the universe's way of experiencing itself, a never-ending dance of creation and discovery. And that, dear friend, is the journey we are on. But there is still so much more to see. Let's drift farther now, out beyond the Milky Way, past clusters of galaxies, across the vast cosmic web that binds the universe together. Imagine this: billions of galaxies spread across the cosmic ocean, each a swirling city of stars. Some are giant ellipticals, quiet and old, their stars moving slowly like ancient ghosts. Others are vibrant spirals, arms stretched wide, full of newborn stars and the promise of life. In these galaxies, the possibilities multiply: planets orbiting suns you can barely see, moons glowing faintly, and who knows what else hiding in the shadows. Now, imagine the scale light takes millions, sometimes billions, of years to travel between these islands of stars. That means when we look at them, we're seeing ancient light, echoes from a time long gone. It's like looking into a cosmic mirror reflecting the universe's past. And in that past, life might have flourished or faded, risen or fallen, civilizations dreamed or perished. And yet, the story continues. Imagine yourself floating in the spaces between galaxies, surrounded by the quiet hum of gravity and dark energy, the mysterious force pushing the universe to expand faster and faster. It's a strange feeling, knowing the universe is stretching out, growing, changing in ways we don't fully understand. But that expansion creates new space for life, new possibilities, new stories to be told. Now, imagine just for a moment that somewhere in that vastness, life has found a way not just to exist but to thrive beyond the physical. Beings made of light, or thought, or pure energy, who no longer need planets or stars, who travel the cosmos in ways we can't imagine, who communicate not with sound but with pulses of pure meaning, sending ripples through the fabric of reality. It's a wild thought, but not impossible. And as we float here, suspended in time and space, it feels almost comforting to know that life is not limited to flesh and blood, that life might be as infinite as the universe itself. And with that thought, our journey doesn't end. It only begins. Because the universe is alive, and so are we. We are stardust made conscious, dreamers in the vast cosmic night. And every time we look up at the stars, we're joining that eternal dance. So, let's keep drifting together, through the endless night, always wondering, always dreaming. You raise your hand, slowly, and it does the same. That's all. No invasion, no flashing lights, just recognition. Now, drift with me again, through more stars, past frozen comets, through debris fields and abandoned satellites and lonely moons that orbit in silence. And finally, let's pause near Earth again. From here, it's just a marble, swirling blues and greens, thin clouds, a heartbeat of life. And down there, you are sitting maybe in bed, or at your desk, or curled under a blanket imagining all this, listening, drifting. And that means that right now, there's a piece of the universe dreaming about itself, you. And that might be the most alien thing of all. Because in a universe of storms and fire and gravity and endless motion, here you are quiet, still, wondering, and that wonder might be the closest thing to magic the cosmos has ever known. Now, take a deep breath and let yourself feel the weight of that thought. The universe is unimaginably vast, billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, many with planets orbiting them, but here, in your quiet moment, you are connected to all of it. Not just as an observer, but as a participant in the cosmic dance. Imagine the atoms in your body forged in the heart of stars that lived and died long before the Earth existed. You are literally made of stardust, carrying the legacy of ancient cosmic explosions. Each breath you take is filled with particles that have journeyed across light years, caught in the invisible tides of space and time. This connection, this shared origin, is the bridge between you and every other possible life form out there. Even if we never find them, or they never find us, the universe has already woven us together in its grand design. But what if we are not alone? What if that simple gesture, raising a hand, and being met with the same happens again, somewhere far away, under alien suns? Imagine for a moment the creatures who might respond. Not humanoid beings with 2 arms and 2 legs, but something utterly different. Maybe beings made of light, or swirling gas, or minds spread across entire planets. Life that thinks in colors or frequencies instead of words. Life that doesn't just exist but resonates with the universe's deepest harmonies. Picture meeting such beings. What stories would they tell? What wonders would they share? Would they laugh or sing, or communicate through emotions like colors blooming in the air? The more you imagine, the more the universe opens up before you, not as a cold, empty void, but as a living, breathing mosaic of endless possibility. And here's something remarkable. Even as you sit quietly, somewhere out there, planets orbit their stars in rhythms shaped by gravity and chance. Some of those worlds might harbor oceans teeming with life. Others might hide ancient forests beneath purple skies, or cities of crystal that shimmer under twin suns. Maybe there are civilizations that have already mastered the art of peace, who travel the stars in ships powered by dreams. Or perhaps there are worlds where life is just beginning, small sparks of creation waiting to ignite. You can almost hear the whispers of those places in the night sky, stories waiting to be told, lives waiting to be known. And that's the magic of this moment, the infinite what if that fuels our curiosity and drives us to explore. So, as we drift here near our little blue planet, surrounded by the infinite dark, remember, your wonder is the spark that lights the cosmos. And every time you look up at the stars, you are not just gazing into space. You are reaching out, joining hands with all the unseen life waiting to be discovered. Now, let's continue our journey beyond Earth once again. This time, let's travel outward, past the familiar, past the bounds of our solar system, and into the glowing arms of our galaxy, the Milky Way. Imagine soaring through clouds of gas and dust, the birthplace of new stars. The colors here are surreal, glowing pinks, blues, and purples that stretch across light years. You can almost taste the energy raw, wild, full of promise. As we glide past, you notice newborn stars shining with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Around them, swirling disks of matter gather, slowly shaping the future planets of distant systems. It's a cosmic nursery, alive with potential. And among these young worlds, some might be just right, not too hot, not too cold, where water flows and life might take root. Picture standing on one such planet, under a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations. The air might smell different, thick with gases we don't breathe. Strange plants might sway in unseen breezes. Perhaps creatures you can barely imagine live there, communicating in ways we have yet to understand. You don't know them yet, but they are part of the same universal story, the same endless search for life, for meaning, for connection. And as you imagine all this, you realize something beautiful. The universe is not just a place, it's a feeling, a story we're all part of. Now, drift a little farther, beyond the spiral arms of our galaxy, into the vastness between the stars. This space is mostly empty, but it hums with invisible forces. Magnetic fields twist and ripple. Dark matter flows like a silent river beneath everything. If you listen closely, you might hear the faint echoes of ancient events, the remnants of long-dead stars, the distant roar of galaxies colliding. Out here, life would be different. If it exists at all, it might be forms we can barely conceive of, entities that live in energy fields, or clouds of plasma, or consciousness spread across the cosmos. It's humbling to imagine, but it's also thrilling, because it means that life, in all its endless forms, might be the universe's way of experiencing itself, a never-ending dance of creation and discovery. And that, dear friend, is the journey we are on. But there is still so much more to see. Let's drift farther now, out beyond the Milky Way, past clusters of galaxies, across the vast cosmic web that binds the universe together. Imagine this: billions of galaxies spread across the cosmic ocean, each a swirling city of stars. Some are giant ellipticals, quiet and old, their stars moving slowly like ancient ghosts. Others are vibrant spirals, arms stretched wide, full of newborn stars and the promise of life. In these galaxies, the possibilities multiply: planets orbiting suns you can barely see, moons glowing faintly, and who knows what else hiding in the shadows. Now, imagine the scale light takes millions, sometimes billions, of years to travel between these islands of stars. That means when we look at them, we're seeing ancient light, echoes from a time long gone. It's like looking into a cosmic mirror reflecting the universe's past. And in that past, life might have flourished or faded, risen or fallen, civilizations dreamed or perished. And yet, the story continues. Imagine yourself floating in the spaces between galaxies, surrounded by the quiet hum of gravity and dark energy, the mysterious force pushing the universe to expand faster and faster. It's a strange feeling, knowing the universe is stretching out, growing, changing in ways we don't fully understand. But that expansion creates new space for life, new possibilities, new stories to be told. Now, imagine just for a moment that somewhere in that vastness, life has found a way not just to exist, but to thrive beyond the physical. Beings made of light or thought or pure energy, who no longer need planets or stars, who travel the cosmos in ways we can't imagine, who communicate not with sound, but with pulses of pure meaning, sending ripples through the fabric of reality. It's a wild thought, but not impossible. And as we float here, suspended in time and space, it feels almost comforting to know that life is not limited to flesh and blood, that life might be as infinite as the universe itself. Farther still, beyond the clusters of galaxies and the tangled threads of the cosmic web, lies the universe's grandest mystery, the dark spaces between. Not empty, but filled with unseen matter and energy that shapes everything we see. Imagine floating here, where light itself feels stretched thin, where time seems to slow, and the silence is profound. It's a silence that's not empty, but full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. In these shadows, life might be hiding in forms so strange. They challenge everything we think we know. Maybe tiny, invisible beings drift in cosmic clouds, living on radiation or magnetic fields. Or perhaps vast, slow-moving organisms stretch across light years, communicating in pulses of energy too faint for our instruments. Picture what it would be like to meet such life creatures who don't breathe air or eat food, but exist in rhythms we cannot hear, in patterns we cannot see. And yet, for all this strangeness, there's a rhythm to the cosmos. Stars are born, live and die, planets form and crumble, galaxies collide and merge. This endless cycle carries the possibility of life forward. Wherever conditions align, water, energy, elements, life finds a way. This isn't just Earth's story. It's the universe's story, told in countless variations across time and space. Now imagine watching a distant world from afar. The sky there might be painted with unfamiliar colors, perhaps two suns setting side by side, casting long golden shadows. Strange creatures roam the surface, their senses tuned to the world's unique rhythms. Maybe they hear the wind differently, or see light in spectrums invisible to us. Imagine the smells, the textures underfoot, the feeling of alien rain or sunlight. Can you sense the life there? Vibrant and strange? And while you imagine, remember, every star you see in the night sky is a sun with its own story. Around many of these suns, planets circle silently, some rocky and dry, others covered in oceans, some frozen and barren, others possibly alive. Our understanding is growing every day. as telescopes and probes search the skies for signs of life, sending back whispers from worlds far beyond. What if one day we receive a signal, not just static or noise, but a message, something unmistakably alive, intelligent? Imagine hearing a greeting from across the stars, a wave reaching us through the vast cosmic ocean. It would be a moment that changes everything, proof that life is not an accident, but a fundamental part of the universe's fabric. Until then, we watch and wonder and imagine, because the search for life beyond Earth is more than science. It's a journey into ourselves. It's about curiosity, hope, and the desire to belong in the vastness. Every question we ask brings us closer to understanding our place in the cosmos. And so, as you sit here now, feeling the quiet pulse of the universe around you, know this: you are part of something bigger. The stars, the planets, the unknown forms of life yet to be discovered, they are all threads in the tapestry of existence. And your imagination is the bridge that connects us to those distant possibilities. Let's keep moving forward, ever curious, ever open to the wonders waiting just beyond the horizon of our knowledge, because the story of life beyond Earth is not just out there in the stars. It's here, in us, alive in every question and every dream. Imagine now drifting closer to one of those distant worlds, a planet unlike any we've seen before. Its skies shimmer with colors that change as its twin suns set, painting the horizon in hues of violet and gold. You feel the gentle pull of its gravity beneath your feet, lighter than Earth's, so every step feels like a small leap, a dance with the air itself. The ground is soft, covered in moss-like plants that glow faintly, casting an eerie but beautiful light. Around you, strange creatures move with grace and purpose. Some glide silently through the thick atmosphere, their wings shimmering with iridescent patterns. Others burrow beneath the soil, leaving behind tunnels that breathe warmth into the cool night. Imagine reaching out to touch the petals of a flower that blooms only once every century. Its scent unlike anything you've ever known, sweet and sharp, alive with the memory of the stars. Now, listen closely. You might hear the soft hum of the planet itself, a subtle vibration coursing through the rocks and plants, as if the world were breathing. Life here isn't just surviving, it's thriving in ways that stretch your imagination, adapting to the alien environment with resilience and beauty. But life beyond Earth isn't always peaceful or quiet. The universe is full of extremes, worlds where storms rage for centuries, where volcanic eruptions reshape the landscape overnight, where temperatures swing from blistering heat to freezing cold in the blink of an eye. Picture yourself on a planet wrapped in a raging storm, lightning crackling through skies thick with clouds of sulfur and ash. The air vibrates with raw energy, a fierce reminder that the cosmos is a place of constant change and endless power. Even in these harsh places, life can cling to existence, microbes hidden deep beneath the surface, thriving in pockets of warmth, strange plants that unfold only during brief moments of calm. Creatures that have evolved to survive the impossible, reminding us that life's persistence is one of its greatest wonders. As we float through these varied worlds, remember that our own Earth is part of this grand cosmic family, unique in its diversity, yet connected to all the possibilities scattered through the stars. We are explorers not just of space, but of imagination, reaching out to understand what it means to be alive anywhere in the universe. Now, look up again at the night sky, filled with distant suns and swirling galaxies. Imagine that each point of light could be a beacon, a world with stories to tell, with lives to live. Imagine what it would be like to share a moment of recognition with beings so different yet so familiar, united by the sheer joy of existence. And as you hold that thought, know that the search for life beyond Earth is ongoing, in telescopes peering deeper into space, in probes sent to distant moons, in scientists analyzing data for the faintest signs of life. Every discovery, every question, every leap forward brings us closer to understanding the vastness we call home. So, as our journey continues, let yourself be filled with wonder and hope. The universe is vast, mysterious, and alive in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. And in this great cosmic story, you are not just a spectator, but a vital part of the unfolding adventure. Beyond the shimmering skies of that distant world, imagine now crossing the boundary into a realm where light itself bends and twists the mysterious domain around a black hole. Don't worry, we won't fall in, But just imagine floating nearby, feeling the strange pull of gravity warping space and time around you. The stars behind stretch and smear, like reflections in a funhouse mirror. It's disorienting, almost surreal, but incredibly beautiful. You might feel time slowing down, seconds stretching into minutes, minutes into hours. It's like stepping into a dream where everything familiar becomes fluid and strange. Imagine reaching out to touch the invisible threads that weave space and time together. Can you sense the power here? The cosmic forces that can trap light, shape galaxies, and perhaps even hide secrets about the universe's deepest mysteries. And what about life near such extremes? Could creatures exist in the shadow of a black hole, adapted to conditions we cannot even imagine? Maybe they live in energy fields or ride streams of particles, communicating in pulses of radiation instead of sound. It's a reminder that life might take forms as varied and wild as the universe itself. Now, drifting away from the black hole, let's soar toward a cluster of galaxies, millions of light years away. Imagine the cosmic dance as galaxies twist, collide, and merge over eons. Each collision sparks new waves of star formation, lighting up the dark with bursts of brilliant color. You can almost hear the hum of this grand symphony, a slow but majestic song of creation and destruction. Among these galaxies, some might host civilizations who gaze back at their skies, wondering about other worlds. Imagine what they might see, what stories they tell under alien stars. Do they raise their hands in greeting, hoping for recognition across the cosmic vastness? Are they curious, hopeful, like us? As we drift through this grand ocean of stars and stories, remember that every point of light represents a world with its own tale. Some may be quiet, some wild, some bursting with life beyond our wildest dreams. And somewhere in this vastness, life is unfolding, discovering itself, reaching for connection. So take a deep breath and feel the wonder of being part of this incredible universe. The journey is endless, filled with mysteries to explore and stories to imagine. And as long as there are dreamers like you, the search for life beyond Earth will continue, a beacon shining in the cosmic night. Imagine now that we are moving gently through a quiet corner of the universe where stars are just beginning to be born. Here, vast clouds of gas and dust swirl slowly, glowing softly in shades of pink and orange. These stellar nurseries are the cradles of new suns, where the raw materials of life gather and prepare to ignite. Picture yourself floating there, surrounded by this cosmic fog, feeling the cool, almost tangible presence of potential. Somewhere inside these clouds, tiny sparks will burst into brilliant light, heralding the birth of new stars. Around those stars, planets will begin to form worlds that might one day host life in forms both familiar and utterly strange. Can you hear the silence here? It's a silence filled with promise, with the slow, patient heartbeat of creation. Imagine the passage of millions of years as these clouds condense, spin, and collapse, setting in motion the cycles that shape entire galaxies. Now, imagine zooming out to see our own galaxy, the Milky Way, sprawling across the sky like a glittering river of light. It's home to hundreds of billions of stars, each with its own planets, its own possibilities. And somewhere, in this vast neighborhood, life has taken hold on at least one small blue planet. But what if there are others? What if life has found a way not just here, but elsewhere, in the deep reaches of space? Scientists are discovering planets in the habitable zones of their stars, where conditions might allow water to exist, where life, as we know it, could thrive. Imagine the excitement of knowing that the universe may be dotted with countless living worlds, each with its own unique story. As you imagine this, think about how tiny and precious life feels against the vast backdrop of space. Yet, in that smallness lies a profound connection, a reminder that we are part of something much larger, a cosmic tapestry woven from stars, dust, and dreams. Let's keep drifting then, through this endless ocean of possibilities, eyes wide open, hearts full of wonder. Because the search for life beyond Earth is not just a scientific quest, it's a story about hope, curiosity, and the unyielding desire to understand our place in the universe. And as we continue this journey, remember that every question you ask, every star you imagine, brings us closer to the answer, that life, in all its forms, is a spark of the cosmos itself, alive and waiting to be discovered. And as we float here, drifting through the dark expanse, it's impossible not to feel a sense of connection to everything around us. The universe is not just a vast, empty space filled with random objects. It's a living, breathing story, one that we are part of, no matter how small or distant we feel. Imagine the gentle warmth of a distant sun reaching across millions of miles to touch a tiny planet. That warmth might be enough to sustain simple life, perhaps microbes hidden beneath an icy crust or in the deep oceans below. These tiny life forms might never see the light of day, but they could be teeming in underground seas warmed by geothermal heat. Just imagine the vast possibilities of such hidden worlds, oceans beneath frozen shells, warmed not by sunlight but by the planet's own inner fire. And what about life that doesn't look like anything we know? Could there be beings who thrive on chemicals toxic to us? Or creatures that communicate through colors or magnetic pulses instead of sound? The universe is so vast, and the conditions so varied, that life might have evolved countless strange forms that challenge every assumption we make. Let's picture a planet with thick, swirling clouds of gas, where the surface is shrouded in mystery. Lightning dances through the dense atmosphere, casting brief, flickering light on landscapes we can only imagine. Perhaps here, life floats freely in the air itself, floating organisms, drifting on currents like balloons or jellyfish, living in layers of atmosphere that shield them from the storm below. Now, imagine gliding alongside a comet streaking through the solar system, its tail a glowing stream of dust and gas trailing behind it like a cosmic banner. Comets are like time capsules, carrying the ingredients of life from one part of the universe to another. Some scientists believe that comets might have brought water and organic molecules to Earth, seeding the conditions for life to begin. Imagine then that life itself might be a cosmic traveler, hitching rides on icy comets, spreading its reach across galaxies. As we drift further, we pass through a star cluster where hundreds of suns burn brightly, crammed into a small patch of space. Here, the light is dazzling, almost overwhelming. Imagine standing on a planet in such a cluster, watching multiple suns rise and set, painting the sky with shifting shadows and colors. The rhythm of life here would be unlike anything on Earth, shaped by the interplay of light and heat from several stars dancing in the sky. It's a beautiful reminder that life's story is not one size fits all. It's a tapestry woven with infinite threads, each planet, each star, each moment adding its own pattern to the grand design. And all this, the stars, the planets, the possible life, it's all connected by invisible forces, gravity pulling worlds into orbit, light traveling across the void, and time carrying everything forward. Imagine stretching your hands out, trying to grasp these unseen connections, feeling the pulse of the universe itself coursing through you. There's a kind of poetry in this, that the atoms in your body were once forged in the hearts of ancient stars, that the very matter making up your thoughts and dreams traveled through time and space before arriving here, right now. So as we continue to float, drifting deeper into the cosmic ocean, remember that life beyond Earth isn't just a distant possibility. It's a reminder of how incredible and resilient life itself can be. It is a promise that wherever there is the right mix of elements, energy, and time, life will find a way to bloom, adapt, and evolve. And while we have yet to meet other beings, the search itself connects us to the cosmos in a profound way. It invites us to look up, to wonder, and to dream of all the extraordinary forms that life might take. As you imagine these distant worlds and possibilities, take a moment to feel the vastness around you and the incredible mystery that we are part of. Because in the end, the universe is not just out there, it's alive in each of us, in our curiosity, our hopes, and our endless capacity to imagine. So we keep floating, keep wondering, and keep dreaming, letting the endless sky carry us onward into the great unknown. Drifting further now, imagine a planet where the skies are a constant swirl of color, painted by auroras dancing endlessly across the horizon. The air hums softly with electric energy, and the ground beneath your feet pulses with faint vibrations, like the heartbeat of the world itself. Here, life might have adapted to this vibrant, ever-changing environment, evolving senses and forms that respond to the shimmering lights and the electric whispers in the air. Picture creatures that can see beyond the visible spectrum, perceiving colors and patterns invisible to human eyes. Imagine them communicating through flashes of light, weaving stories in the sky that tell of ancient histories or urgent warnings. The sounds here might not be what we expect either. Maybe life speaks through vibrations or subtle shifts in the magnetic fields, a language as alien as the landscape itself. As we move on, let's imagine a moon orbiting a giant gas planet, bathed in the glow of its parent world's swirling clouds. Beneath its frozen surface lies a vast ocean, hidden from view but alive with movement. Life in this ocean might be strange and beautiful glowing creatures drifting through endless darkness, using bioluminescence to navigate and communicate. Imagine what it would feel like to dive into these waters, weightless and surrounded by soft, pulsing light, a world so different from our own but teeming with life nonetheless. Think of how vast the universe is, filled with such wonders just waiting to be discovered. It's humbling, isn't it? To realize that Earth is just one small piece of this cosmic mosaic, one chapter in an unfolding story that stretches across billions of years and countless stars. Now, picture the search for life beyond our solar system. Scientists point enormous telescopes to distant stars, looking for the faintest hints of planets circling them. They listen for signals, patterns that might suggest the presence of technology or even conversation. Imagine the thrill of discovering a tiny, distant world that might be just right for life, a place with water, an atmosphere, maybe even signs of forests or oceans. And what if one day we receive a message, a greeting sent across the vast darkness, a bridge connecting us to beings who, like us, look up at the stars and wonder? Imagine the awe and excitement, the sense of shared existence that such a moment would bring. But until then, the mystery remains, fueling our imagination and our desire to explore. Each new discovery, each new world we glimpse, expands the possibilities and deepens the wonder. As you imagine this, remember that you are part of this grand journey too. Your thoughts, your dreams, your curiosity, they are threads in the cosmic tapestry, connecting you to the stars and to the life that might be out there, waiting to be found. Farther now, imagine gliding toward a distant planet orbiting a star unlike our sun, a red dwarf, smaller and cooler, casting a dim, reddish glow across its system. Around this star, planets might huddle close, their days long and their nights longer, bathed in a gentle, persistent twilight. Imagine standing on the surface of one of these worlds, feeling the cool air, watching the red sun dip slowly below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of deep purple and crimson. On such a planet, life might have adapted to the dim light and the long shadows. Imagine plants that absorb the faint red rays more efficiently, their leaves a deep, dark green or even black to soak up every bit of energy. Picture creatures that are nocturnal, thriving in the long nights, their eyes large and shimmering to catch every glimmer of light. As you imagine this world, think about how different life could be, not just in form, but in rhythm and behavior. Days might stretch for months, seasons could be measured in years, and life might flow in slow, deliberate cycles, perfectly tuned to the unique dance of their star. Now, drift with me beyond the edge of this planetary system, into the emptiness between stars, the interstellar space. It's a vast, silent ocean, colder and emptier than anything we experience on Earth. Here, dust and gas float sparsely, traces of ancient explosions and births of stars long gone. Imagine yourself floating here, weightless and alone, surrounded by the faint glow of distant suns. It's quiet, almost unbearably so, but also deeply peaceful. In this darkness, the tiniest spark of light, a distant star, a far-off galaxy, becomes a beacon of hope and wonder. And in this quiet vastness, the possibility of life still lingers. Perhaps microorganisms hitch rides on tiny dust particles, traveling through interstellar space, carried by cosmic winds to seed new worlds. Imagine life as a cosmic traveler, resilient and determined, spreading its reach across the galaxies. We don't know for sure if this happens, but imagining it reminds us of the incredible adaptability of life and the endless ways it might find to survive and thrive. Now, imagine drifting toward a nebula, a giant cloud of gas and dust, glowing softly in brilliant colors of red, blue, and green. These nebulae are stellar nurseries, places where new stars and planets are born. Imagine the slow, swirling motion of the gas, condensing under gravity's pull, sparking the birth of new suns. As you float closer, You might see jets of gas shooting out from young stars, carving the surrounding cloud into shapes both beautiful and strange. It's a cosmic ballet, slow and graceful, a dance of creation that has been going on for billions of years. Imagine the energy here, the heat, the light, the raw power of nature shaping the universe. And somewhere within these clouds, new worlds are beginning to take shape, waiting for their own stories to unfold. Drift now toward a faraway exoplanet, where conditions might be just right for life. Not too hot, not too cold, with a stable atmosphere and liquid water. Imagine standing on the surface, feeling the gravity, breathing the air. The sky might look different, with unfamiliar constellations or perhaps two suns casting shadows from different directions. What would life look like here? Maybe plants with thick, waxy leaves to conserve moisture, or animals with tough skins to protect against the sun's rays. Imagine the sounds, strange bird calls, or the rustling of alien forests. Maybe life here is slow and careful, or perhaps fast and fierce, adapted perfectly to its environment. And as you imagine all this, remember that the search for life beyond Earth is not just about finding answers. It's about expanding our understanding of what life can be and what it means to be alive in this vast, mysterious cosmos. So we keep drifting, keep wondering, keep imagining, letting the stars guide us on this endless journey of discovery. Because in the grand story of the universe, every new thought, every new dream, is a step toward understanding ourselves and the life that might be waiting just beyond our sight. Let's take a closer look now, not just drifting past planets and stars, but imagining what alien life itself might be like, up close. Picture stepping down onto the surface of a distant world, one that might seem strange at first but is alive in ways both familiar and utterly new. Imagine a landscape that feels both alien and oddly welcoming. The air smells different, maybe sharper or sweeter than anything you've known. The ground beneath your feet feels soft, maybe covered with moss-like plants or shimmering crystals. Strange shapes move gently in the distance, creatures that might be watching you with curious eyes. What would these beings look like? They might not walk on two legs or have hands like ours. Perhaps they move by gliding or floating, or even by shifting their shape slowly, flowing like liquid through the air. Imagine skin that changes color to match the environment, or eyes that see in colors beyond human vision, revealing hidden details of the world around them. Maybe their language isn't spoken at all but shared through bursts of light, vibrations, or even scents carried on the wind. Imagine trying to understand their messages, a flash of color that means friendship, a gentle pulse that says curiosity, or a complex pattern that tells a story older than any human memory. Think about how they might live together. Perhaps they don't build homes like we do, but instead weave their environment with living materials, creating cities that grow like plants. Imagine walking through streets that shift and pulse with life, buildings breathing softly as if alive themselves. And what about their senses? Imagine beings that can sense magnetic fields, or detect the faintest changes in temperature and pressure, perceiving the world in ways we can barely imagine. Maybe they sense time differently, experiencing moments in slow waves or rapid bursts, giving their lives a rhythm unlike anything we know. Now, picture how they might experience emotions. Would they feel joy or fear the way we do? Or would their feelings be tied to the collective, shared among many individuals at once, a communal web of experience that binds their society together? As you imagine all this, remember that life is incredibly adaptable. On Earth, we see creatures living in the deepest oceans, surviving extreme heat near volcanic vents, or thriving in frozen deserts. If life can exist in those harsh places here, it's thrilling to think of the endless possibilities elsewhere. Imagine, too, how they might see us tiny beings from a distant blue planet, sending signals and spacecraft into the void, searching for connection. Would they be curious, cautious, friendly? The possibilities spark our imagination and remind us that the universe might be full of stories waiting to be told. So let's linger here a moment, walking among these imagined alien beings, sensing their world and their ways. It's a chance to stretch our minds and hearts, to open ourselves to the incredible diversity that life might take beyond Earth. And in that openness, we find something deeply human, the desire to know, to understand, and to reach out across the vastness of space in hope and wonder. As you stand there, Among these alien beings, imagine reaching out not just with your hand, but with your curiosity. Imagine trying to bridge the gap between two very different worlds. Maybe you share a smile, or a slow blink, or send a soft pulse of light, hoping it will be understood. And maybe, just maybe, they respond in kind. Think about how that moment would feel, an unspoken connection stretching across the universe. Not fear or suspicion, but recognition, a spark of something familiar in the midst of the strange. It's a reminder that life, wherever it exists, might share more than we expect, the need to communicate, to connect, to be seen. Now imagine the daily life of these beings. What do they eat? Do they gather around fires, or bask in the warmth of glowing crystals? Maybe their meals come from plants that shimmer under their twin suns, or from creatures that glide through thick, heavy air. Imagine how they celebrate festivals of light and sound, dances that ripple through the ground, or silent moments of shared reflection beneath alien stars. Picture their stories, histories told not just in words, but in colors, shapes, or songs woven into the very fabric of their world. Stories of survival and joy, of discovery and loss, carried forward across generations, connecting past, present, and future. And while their world might seem utterly different, maybe some things are the same. Maybe they too gaze up at the night sky, wondering about the mysteries beyond their horizon. Maybe they dream of reaching out, of exploring the unknown, of finding others who share their curiosity and wonder. Imagine how that shared longing might feel, a universal thread weaving through the fabric of all life, no matter the shape it takes. As we think about these possibilities, it's clear that the search for alien life isn't just about finding another species. It's about discovering ourselves, seeing our hopes and fears reflected in the vastness of space. And perhaps the greatest discovery is this, that in a universe so vast, full of countless stars and endless mysteries, we are not alone in our wonder. Somewhere out there, life is dreaming, wondering, and reaching out just like us. Imagine standing there longer, letting the sights and sounds soak into your senses. The alien world hums softly all around you, alive with subtle movements and gentle rhythms. The air carries scents you can't name, maybe sweet, maybe sharpened. Each breath feels like a tiny adventure. You watch as the creatures move in graceful patterns, their bodies flowing and shifting, almost like they're dancing to music only they can hear. Look closer at one of them now. Its skin glimmers faintly, reflecting light in ways that seem almost liquid. Its eyes, if you can call them, that are pools of shifting color, deep and thoughtful, as if holding the wisdom of ages. You sense intelligence, not just in the way it moves or reacts, but in the silence between moments, in the space where understanding might grow. And what about time here? Imagine it's not a steady beat like on Earth, but something more fluid, like waves rolling in and out. Days might stretch and compress in strange rhythms, and memories might fold over themselves, creating layers of experience unlike anything we know. How would that change the way these beings live, love, or learn? What stories would their pasts and futures tell? Now, picture their society, if we can call it that. Maybe it's built not on competition or hierarchy, but on cooperation and flow. Maybe each being is a vital thread in a vast, shimmering web of life, where actions ripple gently outward, affecting all. Imagine their gatherings, not loud or chaotic, but peaceful exchanges of energy and thought, moments where individuals merge their senses to share feelings, memories, and dreams. Could it be that their idea of community stretches far beyond what we understand, that their bonds are woven through invisible connections, making them a single living organism made of many parts? Think about how that changes everything, not just how they live, but how they perceive themselves and their place in the universe. And what about creativity? Imagine the art they make, not just paintings or music, but living creation structures that grow and shift with the seasons, colors that change with emotion, sounds that ripple through the ground like waves. Maybe they craft stories in shapes and patterns, stories that can be touched and felt, stories that breathe. Now, imagine your own presence there, a visitor from a distant world. How would it feel to share your own stories with these beings, to teach them about Earth's rivers and mountains, our struggles and celebrations? Could you find common ground in the vast differences, recognizing the spark of life and wonder that unites you? And as you imagine this meeting, think of the possibilities it opens. What if understanding these alien lives helps us see ourselves more clearly? What if it teaches us new ways to live, new ways to connect, and new ways to dream? The universe is full of unknowns, but that's what makes it beautiful. It invites us to imagine, to hope, to explore. And in that endless exploration, we find not just answers, but the questions that keep our minds and hearts alive. So as you stand there, on that alien world, breathing in the strange air and feeling the pulse of life all around you, remember that this journey is as much within as it is beyond. The search for life beyond Earth is also a search for what it means to be alive at all. And in that search, you and I and all of us are travelers together, reaching out across the cosmic dark, hoping to find connection in the great, beautiful mystery of the universe. Imagine now, as you linger in that moment, sensing the gentle rhythms of this alien world, that you begin to notice smaller details, tiny creatures darting between rocks, patterns in the way plants sway, subtle shifts in the light as the planet's atmosphere responds to the star's distant warmth. Life here is intricate, delicate, and profoundly interconnected. Think about how these small lives survive and thrive. Maybe some feed on mineral-rich dust carried by soft winds, while others gather energy directly from the light in ways that feel almost like magic. Imagine bioluminescence life glowing softly in the dim light, casting gentle hues of blue and green, illuminating the quiet night with a living tapestry of light. And what about the cycles of this world? Imagine seasons marked not just by weather, but by changes in the energy that pulses through the ecosystem. Maybe at certain times the air thickens with fragrant spores that carry not just scent, but information, a natural way of communicating messages of growth, warning, or celebration. Imagine how these alien beings might respond to such signals, changing color, shifting shape, or emitting sounds that ripple through the environment. Life here might be a constant conversation, a symphony of senses and responses woven into the fabric of the planet itself. And as you explore further, picture the sky above you. Maybe it holds more than one moon, or a ring of glowing dust particles that catch the light in shimmering arcs. Maybe distant storms dance across the horizon, flashing with colors unseen by human eyes. Imagine how these sights would feel both familiar and utterly otherworldly, stirring a deep sense of awe and belonging. Now, bring your thoughts back to the beings themselves. Imagine how they learn and grow. Without books or schools, perhaps knowledge is shared through direct experience, memories passed from one generation to the next in waves of emotion or patterns of light. Maybe younglings explore the world, not just with curiosity, but through the collective memories of their ancestors, feeling the pulse of history as if it were their own heartbeat. And what about their dreams? Imagine dreams that aren't just individual, but shared, a collective dreaming that binds a community together in hope, fear, and wonder. Picture nights where the whole world seems to drift into a gentle sleep, breathing in harmony beneath the stars. As you hold these images, think about how much they expand your sense of what life can be. Not just another species on another planet, but a completely different way of being shaped by the universe's endless variety, adapted to the rhythms and mysteries of their home. And yet, beneath all this difference, a thread connects us: the drive to explore, to understand, to find meaning in the vastness. The longing to reach out, to connect across the silent gulf of space and time. So as you stand there on that distant world, looking up at unfamiliar skies and feeling the pulse of life all around you, remember this: in the great cosmic dance, every form of life, no matter how strange or wondrous, shares a place. And in that shared place, hope and wonder bloom as vast and infinite as the stars themselves. Now, let's lift away from that alien world and drift back out into the vastness of space. Picture yourself floating once again in the quiet, endless dark, surrounded by twinkling stars scattered like diamonds across velvet. The alien planet shrinks beneath you, becoming just a bright speck, one of countless wonders in this vast universe. As you float here, imagine how life might exist in forms we can barely imagine, not just on planets, but in places we often overlook. Think about the possibilities in the swirling clouds of gas around newborn stars, where chemistry dances in cosmic cauldrons, brewing the raw ingredients of life. Or imagine life thriving deep inside the thick ice shells of moons, far from sunlight, where warmth comes from hidden sources, maybe the slow heat of a molten core, or the friction of tides pulling beneath frozen surfaces. In those shadowed oceans, strange creatures could swim in eternal darkness, their bodies glowing with bioluminescence, communicating through flashes of light or gentle pulses. Picture life not tied to solid ground, but floating freely in the vast emptiness between stars, organisms drifting through interstellar space, feeding on cosmic dust and radiation, carrying themselves on solar winds like seeds on the breeze. Imagine the incredible resilience required to survive such isolation, and how different life could be when survival means enduring the coldest, emptiest places we know. Now, think bigger still. Consider that life might not be carbon-based like ours. Maybe it's made of silicon, or something we haven't yet discovered, forms that don't breathe oxygen or drink water, but thrive in conditions that seem utterly hostile from our viewpoint. Imagine beings whose bodies are more like energy or plasma, flowing and shifting in ways that challenge our very ideas of what it means to be alive. And in this endless cosmic ocean, imagine signals, faint whispers of existence from civilizations light years away. Pulses of radio waves, flashes of lasers, or mysterious bursts of energy that hint at minds reaching out through the void. Imagine the excitement and hope that comes with every new signal, the possibility that somewhere, out there, others are wondering about us, just as we wonder about them. As you float in this cosmic silence, you might feel the profound loneliness of space, but also its incredible beauty. The stars, each a sun, might host worlds full of life, stories, and dreams we can barely begin to imagine. So drift with me here. Let the silence wrap around you like a gentle blanket. Feel the infinite possibilities stretching out in every direction, the unknown waiting patiently for us to explore, to understand, and to connect. In this great cosmic sea, life is not just on distant planets. It is everywhere, hidden, waiting, vibrant beyond our wildest dreams. And as you float here, somewhere between the stars and the spaces between, remember, you are part of this universe too, a tiny, shining piece of a story that is still unfolding. And as we slowly begin to turn back, carrying with us the echoes of distant worlds and the quiet hum of cosmic life, take a moment to feel the wonder of it all, the vastness, the mystery, the possibility. Though the universe is immense and often silent, it is filled with countless stories waiting to be discovered. And in every one of those stories, including our own, there is a thread of connection, a spark of curiosity that drives us onward. So wherever you are, under whatever sky you look up at tonight, remember that you are part of something greater, a universe alive, with wonder, with life, with endless dreams. Thank you for taking this journey with me. May the stars always remind you to wonder, to imagine, and to keep reaching for the unknown.